Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Town of McCandless December 14th, 2020 meeting. Council just came out of executive session where we were discussing special labor council and annual salary reviews. We will begin with the invocation and pledge of allegiance by Council Member Clunan.
Thank you. Today, we look to 2021 with the hope that a vaccine will allow us to return to a life we all miss, a life filled with family, friends, classmates, and in-person gatherings. As we continue to battle on, we pray for our neighbors who have lost a loved one and for those on the front lines. We also ask that our neighbors continue to support the small businesses in our community, as their presence is a vital part of the town of McCandless. Thank you for all of our residents who have been doing their part to keep our community safe. Now the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To
to
the flag
To the flag
of the
United States of America and to
to the republic
for
which
which
it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty and justice for all.
We've got to get a metronome or something so that we're all on the same time saying it.
Maybe we should just have one person, the person doing it, say it, and then we just all mouth it.
From the recording perspective, that was perhaps in the top 3 for saying it synonymously. So you all did well.
We're getting better. Good.
Do this
Okay,
another 3 years, we'll be in good shape.
please. All right, announcements. Everyone hopefully got your letter for your free radon testing. I know we got ours. Please return those so you can get that from the American Lung Association and check your house free of charge for radon. I'd like to offer a special thank you to PAC 329. Carolyn and I were supposed to talk to that PAC. Carolyn became ill, but I still went. What a bunch of smart guys. And we had a great conversation. We talked about rule of law, loyalty, duties to your country. It was a good conversation. So thank you, PAC 329. I'd also like to remind everyone about the Make McCandless Merry and Bright. That is online. You can take pictures of your outside decorations and send them into the town, and we're going to put together a nice video of those. And we're asking everybody to go the extra mile to decorate their houses so people can get out in their own cars and drive around and see some Christmas lights and maybe not be home so much. I would like to remind everyone that the McCandless Police have suspended our drug take-back program right now, as well as fingerprinting and issuing vendor permits until further notice, just because of COVID. And I would also like to thank Council. I hope this finds you well. This is a little gift, and I accepted this on behalf of Council. This is a little gift that is intended for all of our illustrious Town Council members. Let's insert a little humor. You have all worked so hard this year, particularly on the chicken ordinance, and it should be acknowledged. So we have been presented with this lovely chicken. Now we can discuss a rotating schedule so that we can each hang it in our homes with even periodically. Okay, we can do that later. All right, that is the end of my announcements. As far as I know, there are no seminars or conferences anywhere in the world. So is number 5. I found one, moving on, To the minutes, I found one error in the minutes, which I've already submitted to Bob and has been changed. And that was the Heritage Center basket was not worth $338, but that fundraiser raised $338. So that's been corrected. Were there any other corrections or changes that needed to be made?
The one that Shelley noted has also been corrected.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Okay, all right, then, can I have a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
I'll move.
Go ahead.
I move to approve the town council minutes of November 23rd, 2020,
As amended.
Okay.
as amended.
Okay, and I think that was Carolyn?
Yeah.
All right, second. All right, so, thank you. Oh, any more questions, comments? I almost went by it without a vote. Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as amended indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. All right, our public hearing on the amendment to an ordinance establishing a volunteer service credit program authorizing local tax credits for volunteer members of the volunteer fire department companies and establishing administrative procedures and appeals. Now, this is, we have already adopted the local tax credit for volunteer firefighters or members associated with a fire company that live in McCandless. So what this public hearing is on, extending that credit to someone who lives in McCandless, but perhaps is a volunteer firefighter in Ross. So that's what this would be, because those people have been excluded before. So that's what this public hearing is about. We'll start with, and are there any council members that have any questions or comments about this? Okay,
Could I say something?
okay, yes.
So just so I understand here, and I'm not too sure if I'm on the right page, but what about, so I got an email from Rustit. He asked about getting a property credit in the amount of $500 since he is retired and does not have like actual wage income tax credit that would apply to him.
That is something else we would have to look at. That is not part of what this is proposing
Yeah.
right now.
So we'd have to bring it back and do another public hearing for that.
Yeah, we can't add that to this public hearing because we don't have an ordinance or anything written
Yeah.
about it yet.
Okay,
But we could bring that up and bring that, see about adding that, but
okay,
um,
let's do that if we can, if you guys are all in agreement to that.
Just really quickly, that was the request for the same type of credit, but applied against the property tax. That might be a different process. I don't know.
yeah.
Steve, do you know?
Let's talk about that later.
Okay.
Okay, because that's not what we're doing right now. We can, if we want to bring that up, we can talk about that later and see what that would be involved. Let's just stick with this right now. This is the one that we're dealing with now. But we can see about that one. If there's no comments from anyone in council, RJ, is there anyone signed up for public comment on this?
I did not receive any signups for public comment for the public hearing. Friendly reminder to the audience, type your name, address and subject matter in chat if you do want to jump in and give a public comment, but I don't believe for the public hearing we had anyone intending to.
So if it's okay, I'm going to just, if council has no more questions or comments, we'll just take the rest of public comment, but if somebody jumps in and says, oh, wait a second, I have something on that, we'll just go ahead and take it, if that's okay. That's nothing wrong with that, Steve, is there?
Not at all.
Okay, okay. All right. So let's go on to general public comment. Do we have some people signed up, RJ, for some general?
Yeah, I did receive 2 signups
Okay.
ahead of the meeting.
Okay,
And I believe Kathy Martins is the user that's on, but there will also be, I think, Lynn Appman here with
Okay.
her. So I'm not sure which one is going first. But
Okay.
I'm gonna send Kathy microphone and camera request. And Kathy and Lynn, whenever whenever you're connected, if you could please just state your address for each of you for the public comment record.
Can you hear me, Lynn Atman?
Yes.
806 Saratoga Drive, Pittsburgh 15237.
All right, thank you.
Mhm. All right. It's probably not really a new subject. It's just reinforcement of an old subject that doesn't seem to go away. It's the litter in our town. I just wanted to kind of recap. In 2.5 years, volunteers have collected over 800 bags of litter in the town. That would be the 2 pickups in the spring and the fall, and then independent volunteers throughout the year in that tally. That's a very sad number. We're almost going to approach 1,000 soon, so isn't that sad that we have that much litter? But the town does look so much better in comparison to other towns when you look around due to the efforts of many citizens. And I want to thank Angela and Shelley and Kim for always coming out and helping as well. I've lived in this town for 55 years, and I just wanted to say I've never seen PennDOT or Department of Public Works ever out there picking up litter. That saddens me as well because this is all citizen driven. Last week, there was a couple of us, Angela and Dave Miner and I, that met with Mr. Rod McCurry. He's our new House of Representative in our district. I was very encouraged by his words of how he wants to get involved. And I asked him if we could also engage Lindsey Williams, our state senator. And he was very enthusiastic about getting on board with her as well. I think that we need to also look into, and this has been brought up before, intergovernment cooperation. That would be Ross, McCandless, Pine, Hampton, Franklin Park, and Marshall. If we could all work together on this problem, because Ross looks really bad. I don't know if you know McKnight Road, how bad it looks down there, but it's disgusting. And things that are being picked up in our town are, for example, like bed frames, card tables. If you need any of these items, just go to the side of the road and look for them. Old bottles, old cans that construction workers have left behind, filled with tobacco juice. Quite disgusting what you find. Years ago, when I was a child and I grew up, I remember that Native American with a little tear in his eye when he looked out and saw litter. And also, it's always don't be a litter bug. Education lacks in this day and age as well for litter. So I think education is another thing that has to be out there for the young people and the older folks as well, because somebody's doing the litter and I never see who they are, but I just see the results. I guess that's all that I wanted to say. Kathy will just say a few words now.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Lynn.
And I live at 947 Center Oak Drive. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. I have noticed, and I'm sure you all have noticed too, the efforts of all the volunteers that have been down there picking up the litter on the sides of the highways. I mean, it's so nice now. You come to a corner and you're not bombarded with all these signs, you know, political signs and GNC signs, CBD signs, real estate signs. I mean, they're just like all kinds of signs when, you know, you're really trying to focus on driving and being able to see cars coming and what's going on the road. So it's been very, very nice that, you know, there's been this effort that we pass this sign ordinance. I really appreciate that. And I just want to make that comment. One of the things though that concerns me a little bit is I would like to see some of the town take on some of that responsibility of doing the pickup and enforcing the sign ordinances and making sure that businesses are keeping their properties clean of litter. So that it's not something that we're just always relying on the citizens to do, because after a while, that's also gonna, people are gonna like, okay, come on, let's, the town needs to take on some of this responsibility. And when I see the town taking on, like, for example, with this chicken coop ordinance, and, that's gonna require more town resources to issue permits and to go out and do inspections and follow up on making sure that all those chicken coops are going to be maintained and within code. And I'm just wondering, like, how do we have resources for that, but we don't have resources for keeping our town beautiful? And it would be really great if we could have some beautification, town beautification, as part of our resource that the town spends on making sure that we do keep this a beautiful place to live, that we strive to be one of the best places in America to live. This is our town. We're not just an industrial pass-through. So I just wanted to also mention, I almost forgot, with the phone books. We see these phone books that are delivered and just left on the side of the road. I don't know what can be done about that. If we could somehow maybe get the phone books stopped from being delivered, that's probably the best solution there. Because, I don't know, I just over the past weekend, just driving down Grubbs Road, I must have seen like 10 phone books on the side of the road just laying there, and they've been there like for a month. So just in close, it would be really great, again, just to bring awareness to, keeping the town beautiful, rewarding people that are, that we see, businesses that we see that have really taken on that responsibility and kind of bring that to light in the community. I don't know if we have like maybe some special, award that we can give them on an annual basis or something, and make special recognition or something. That might also help. But anyway, just wanted to bring that out into the town council's attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Kathy, I apologize. I did not catch your address from earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry. 947
Mhm.
Center Oak.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
RJ, do we have any other public comment on agenda items or even non-agenda items?
Not that I am aware of. Nothing in the chat.
Okay. All right, then let's move on. Then I'll officially close the public hearing on the local tax credit. And we are also finished with public comment. So reports of committees. So reports of the Finance and Personnel Committee.
Yeah, we have 5 things tonight. First one is to review the check listing number 11 dated November 1st through the 30th, 2020, totaling $740,268.14 as submitted to each member of council and posted on the bulletin board and town website. So I don't know if Trish is on the line, if there's any questions.
Any questions?
Can I ask about the cleaning cost? I'm sorry. So it's for October 11th through the 18th. I thought I wrote down the number, 2007-22. Is that for the whole office, the whole building?
The $2,700 is for the whole month. And then the individual that you see are the additional COVID tests.
Yeah. Because I didn't know if it's for 2 weeks since it had October 11th through the 18th. If it was just 1 week, I didn't know how many cleanings that was.
Was it more than $300?
This was $2,722.
The $2,722 is for the full month.
Okay.
We also have, in addition to that, a partial. If you tell me what page you're on, I can tell you specifically.
I wrote it down in my notes. I'd have to pull it up.
Yeah,
Sorry.
The monthly
Okay.
contract is roughly $2,700.
Okay,
And then the individual weeks, we do an additional cleaning for COVID wipe down, and that's around $280 per Sunday.
okay,
And that's for the police, the main town hall, public works.
yeah,
And
okay,
then occasionally there are some incidental supplies that we buy through them, so there may be miscellaneous amounts less than that.
okay. Yeah, I saw supply costs. There was like 560 for the police department below it, but it's okay. I was just curious.
Yes,
That's it.
that would be a 2-week, probably COVID payment. So
Okay,
yeah, it's Public Works, Police, Administration, and the museum for a whole month.
okay, gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
I have a quick question. I'm sure there's a good explanation, but the cost of a repair to a laundry tub at almost $4,000. That's on page 2.
That was actually installing one where there hadn't been one before.
Okay.
The custodians were using the kitchen sink to
Dump the water at
dump
night,
the water at night.
hot water, and they were having
There
to
was-
sterilize it every evening.
So there was nothing at town hall that would be considered a slop sink or a laundry sink.
Oh, wow.
So that was inclusive of all of the plumbing necessary to get that put in place.
It's definitely needed. I'm glad it's being put in there. Thank you.
I had one for Trish. It's 16240 trash recycling carts for 22,000.
Yes, we, as part of the waste management contract, we purchase carts for residents. If they have desire for larger carts, they can trade in their 35-gallon for 65-gallon or 65-gallon for 95-gallon. We have the 3 different types. And so Mark put in an order to get us through the rest of the year. We had a number of residents on a wait list. And this is in conjunction with the waste management contract that'll be expiring at the end of 2021, I believe.
Correct.
Maybe when we renew the contract, everyone gets the same size cart.
There's going to be bunches of changes in that new contract.
Okay. Anybody else before I move to the next one? Item number 2, with Trish still on that, review the monthly financial summary and dashboard report that was included in your packet.
So you have the November financial dashboard and summary report in your packet. A couple questions that I got after the fact, just to bring everyone up to date. The difference in the general fund cash balance and the general fund balance amounts is because I wanted to book the transfer to capital improvement program funds to be consistent with prior years so that those expenditures looked consistent. That $1.5 million budgeted transfer from general fund to CIP to fund the capital projects each year. I made the transfer with a receivable payable, and so the cash itself will be transferred this month. That's why your cash is over your fund balance amounts. In addition to that, in the memo, it mentions that we were underperforming in some areas. Some of the smaller revenue items that we didn't choose to propose a budget amendment for early on during the COVID experience will be underperforming at the end of the year. For instance, charges for service, local funding, and license and fees. I still expect us to be for revenues to exceed expenditures, consistent with some projections that we've made throughout the year. I just wanted to mention that some of those smaller revenue items will be underperforming and will not meet budget. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer them at this time.
Trish, where do you think we'll end year end? You said revenues will be ahead of expenditures, so we'll have a surplus, a small one, is that correct?
Based on the fact that we are expending about $1 million a month and we're just over that right now in fund balance, I expect us to be pretty close at end of year by the time we book receivables for revenue and incur the additional expenditures for December, which also seem to be a little higher than that normal, just because you deal with your accruals for payroll, et cetera. So at this point, I expect us to be within budget. We've been really good at controlling spending up until this point. Depending on how much snow we get through the end of the month, that'll affect overtime. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot more that I'm worried about.
Anybody else have anything? Okay, move on. Third item on the agenda is to review the public hearing on an ordinance tentatively identified as ordinance number 1507, an ordinance reappropriating certain amounts of money within the general fund 2020 budget.
Are there any questions that council has that we have not addressed at this point regarding the reappropriation of funds? for the
I would like to
2020?
make a point that if you just look at this sheet of paper, it looks like we've run over every, on all of these things, when in fact, all of these reappropriations have been financed through reductions in other areas or from increased revenue. So don't be startled when you look at this and it looks like we've run over here, because we've made up for it in other places. Just want to make that point.
Good point. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments about that one? No. Fourth item on the agenda is to review of public hearing on the town's proposed 2021 budget that it's scheduled for council's regular business meeting. An ordinance tentatively identified as ordinance 1508, an ordinance setting the real estate tax rate for 2021 and other revenue sources and setting certain appropriations for the 2021 calendar year.
We obviously have gone over budget items a few times with the council, as well as having the public hearing. Certainly, we are open to any last comments prior to the adoption next week. But at this point, we've not made it. There have been no changes to what we've put together and what we held the public hearing on. You guys are making it too easy on us.
Don't say that. Let it be.
Don't say that. Okay, well, that sounds like a good review. Good review is nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
And I appreciate all of the input that you have given us over the course of the process. And I want to thank Tricia for all of her hard work in making this happen.
Anything else on the budget? For item number 5, Madam President, should I just make the motion?
Adjusting the master resolution. First, to ask if there's anyone that needs to make any comments on it, and then I would make it then. Yeah. See if anybody has any things they would like to say about it, or.
Okay. Is anyone on?
It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
the motion.
Okay. I move to adopt resolution number 20 of 2020, establishing a master resolution to govern various town fees and charges.
Second.
Okay, I think Trish got in on that. And this is nothing, but we go back and we look at the town fees and we make sure that they're reasonable, that they're comparable to what other places are doing, that they will cover the expenses. that it actually costs the town. We're not making money on any of these fees, but we're just trying to reimburse ourselves for the times it takes to look at plans or whatever it is that the town has to do. So this is just, we reevaluate these fees. It's housekeeping. We redo this every year.
That concludes my report.
You made the motion and a second.
Oh,
So let's go ahead and vote. Go ahead. You're doing it. It's all you, Mike.
okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
The next is the zoning committee. We will have the non-conforming use ordinance coming back in January to us. The planning commission looked at it and had very minor changes from the one that we originally saw. And then we'll send that downtown and can keep moving forward on that. And please be looking for the oil and gas ordinance, should be coming to you, as well as being posted on the website, the draft, it'll say draft on there for everybody to take a look at. It's a quite lengthy document. We're not going to be going over this till January, but I wanted to get it out to everybody early because it's going to take some time to go through. But I think it's met the criteria of all the places and everybody that wanted to make the changes. So I think both of these have been, well, the oil and gas has been very long in coming, but I think they might be ready to pass through. So that's all I have on zoning. You do have the zoning reports, zoning hearing board report, as well as the planning commission. Next is public safety committee.
Okay, public safety, we have the chief's report. This is Ryan. Yeah, he's on here.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to call to everyone's attention one item of note on my report for this month. You all have probably read it, but on November 28th, Officer Neil Coral came upon what he believed to be a disabled vehicle on McKnight Road. He quickly realized the driver was slumped over the wheel of the vehicle, unconscious, and the vehicle was still in drive. Officer Coral's swift action and gaining entry to that vehicle, gaining control of the vehicle, pulling the driver from the vehicle, and rendering aid until medics arrived and delivered life-saving treatment, most likely saved this individual's life. Officer Coral's actions are in line with the highest standards of the McCandless Police Department. I commend him. I am proud to work beside him and to have him as a McCandless police officer. You folks know that I like to drive those points home whenever the officers, save lives. Other than that, you have my report, and if you have any questions, I'll take them now.
Any questions, comments? Yes, Mike.
Ryan, how's COVID affecting our operations?
Yeah, Mike, probably averaging right now. I mean, I guess it's tough to put an average on, but it seems like 1 to 2 officers at any given time that are off because of potential exposures. Knock on wood, and I'm going to regret saying this to you folks tonight, we have remained COVID free as an agency. I think that's largely in part to, mitigation efforts and such. But we do have officers that we lose some time because of potential exposures. Last week, we had 3 officers, I think, at one time, which was pretty high for us, off. 2 for potential exposures, 1 because he had a family member that was positive. We have those 3 all back now. We just continue to, our mitigation efforts to try to keep the spread from coming into our house, so to speak, I think have paid dividends. And like I said, I'll regret saying that, but just some lost time, Mike, fortunately, and a few costs for cleaning here and there, because we try to keep everything clean, the interior of the vehicles on a regular basis, the station. Early on this spring, we had a couple instances where we had officers maybe bringing that might have been exposed on the job and then coming into the station had to have it cleaned and such. But I don't know. Right now, I hesitate to say it, but I'm pleased that it has not hit us as hard as other agencies in the area.
Good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments? Yes, David?
I should have announced.
I
I'm
was
not
gonna
Da-
make
I'm
an-
not David. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I saw David raise his hand.
Go ahead. I didn't. I butted in. I'm sorry.
Just a quick question. I've noticed it. I may have even asked about it before. I just saw, Chief, that the assist ambulance number is like a third of all the calls. Is that just exactly what it sounds like? Ambulance gets called and you guys either show up to the scene or go escort the ambulance to the hospital. Is that just exactly what it sounds like, essentially?
It is, Dave. In a nutshell, you're going to see that those are high, probably the highest number we have every month. Every time they dispatch the medics, they dispatch an officer with them. It's how it's always been. We're always ready to assist them. And a lot of times we are the first on the scene. And I think that's probably by design and why we are always dispatched with them. So not only are we taking our calls, we're going along with the medics on all of their calls as well.
Okay, excellent. And thanks to the whole office for that, and commendations to Officer Coral as well. Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, can I also just say one more thing to piggyback off of what Ryan was explaining, the assisting with the paramedics. Back during the summertime, we had an emergency in my parents' house, and the ambulance had been parked at the top of the driveway, but they were down below around back helping my father, who we ended up finding out had Lyme's disease. But because they had to get him to hospital, temperature was 104. Long story short, the police officer got in, backed it down the driveway so he could help assist. So that's probably another, one of their jobs that they'll help out. They can drive the ambulance and, kind of speed up the process of things. So, Kim, were you going to talk about the North Hills Community Outreach donation?
Go ahead. I wished I had announced that with announcement. So go ahead.
It's okay. I wrote it down to do it. So the township, we're collecting the donations. They are due by December 16th. They're looking for toys, blankets, cleaning supplies, paper products, and gift cards. So anyone would like to do that, please drop it off by December 16th. That's it. Okay.
Thanks for that plug, Carolyn.
Okay, no problem, Ryan. Thank you. And this concludes the Public Safety Committee meeting.
Public Works Committee?
You all received the activity report in your packets. Is Mark here?
Mark is on.
Okay, Mark's here if you have any questions.
Oh, he was. He isn't now.
Yeah, I don't see him.
Yeah, he was here earlier. I don't see him connected right now.
Well, if you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them. Okay, no questions, and that concludes my report.
Hey, Services Committee.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to start by congratulating Fire Marshal Stack. He recently acquired his Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency certification. So congratulations to him. I'm sure that wasn't easy to do, and I know he's worked, he's part of the emergency management team meetings every Monday, and he's been part of the broader multi-municipal town efforts in that regard as well. Just for your information, because of COVID, the annual firemen's dinners were canceled. However, the town did provide the 3 fire departments with a dinner brought in and gift baskets last Tuesday. I believe Fire Marshal Stack is with us here. Yes, I see him. So if you have any questions, the Fire Marshal's report, the code enforcement violation complaint statistics report, and the building department permit report are all in your folders. So Dan is here if you have any questions or comments.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello. Okay. Hearing no questions or comments. I think
See a couple hands there. So.
I'm sorry, Dave. I thought you, Dave.
I was just gonna say congratulations on the certification. Very well done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It's one of 2 steps, but thank you.
Trish?
I have 2 points real quick. I want to say again, congrats to Marshall Stack, and I'm glad the town was able to show our volunteers that we do appreciate them last week at the dinners. And
Thank you for attending, by the way, Trish. It was good.
It was fun, and my dog had a lot of fun too. So,
I want to see those pictures, by the way.
So I had another question in regard to the code enforcement. I've seen this almost every month, but I think whenever we go into, when we're being advised to stay at home, people are starting to clean out their houses and get rid of junk. And I keep seeing the Bagster as a violation. Can you, I'm not sure if RJ, if you may be able to answer this, or Bob, what is the town's position on those Bagster type trash receptacles that folks have in their driveway?
RJ, you can follow up if you have any other items. We follow, when we notice them or when we receive a complaint about them, it's because they've been in place for a significant period of time and not picked up in a prompt manner. So it's more a matter of it's sitting around and it'll start to collapse on itself and be more of an issue. So that's when we
don't
come
have
in.
like a 10 days.
Yeah, I mean, you'll notice that it's in his report, that it'll be observed for over 10 days or 14 days or something like that. You know, we let people know, we try to get it resolved, and if it's still sitting there, then we take the next step.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President.
I wanted to also let everyone know that since COVID, Fire Marshal Stack does fire safety teaching or meetings that he goes around the town, and as part of his job is public service. And I've asked him if he wouldn't mind making, and because he can't do that, to make some fire safety videos that we can put online, and he's generously agreed to do that. And then we can put on our television station when we get that up too. So so be looking for those. He's working with John Brzezowski and to make some fire safety videos too. So
Yeah, we just filmed we filmed the first one today, as a matter of fact. So
awesome. We look
who
forward
knows?
to
We'll see how much of me will be on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. I'm sure you're going to do great.
We'll see.
I think from the shoulders up.
Any other questions or comments? That concludes the Services Committee report. Thank you.
You very much.
Recreation Committee?
The Recreation Committee, the members of the Activity Advisory Committee have been working hard on doing what we can, including we just had a very good event on Saturday with a Make McCandless Merry and Bright. We had a family fun night. We'll have more about that in the Activities Committee report next week. But I do want to say on different aspects of what's happening in terms of recreation in the town, we are still moving forward and really seeking the help of volunteers right now. Some of our more long-term projects, not just one-time events, we're looking for folks who may have an interest and some talent in design work, as well as anyone who is interested in helping out as we continue with virtual programming. Not sure how much longer we'll have to do this, but I anticipate probably the first half of next year. A lot of what we do in terms of recreation will involve virtual programming, and we'd love to have more of our community members become part of that. So if you can, please go to the town's website and volunteer. If anyone has any questions? Nope. Thank you, and that concludes the Recreation Committee report.
We have no unfinished old business at this point, so we are going to move to new business. And nominations are now in order for the position of Personnel Board. Are there some nominations from the nominating committee?
I would like to nominate Matt Shipley.
All right, there's been a nomination for Matt Shipley. We have two openings and we have two positions. The first position is for a personnel board member. The second position is an alternate. So this first position is for the personnel board member. I just want to be clear on that. So he is the nomination. Are there any other nominations?
Madam President, I'd like to nominate Mark LaPlante for the Personnel Board.
Okay. All right, so we have two nominations for now this is for the Personnel Board position, not the alternate position. That will be the next one that we do, okay? All right, just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. So we have two nominations. So the way we decided to do this is that we would vote and we would call one person's name and people would vote for that person, and then the second person's name and then vote for that person, because we're trying to not vote against two good candidates. And remember, both of these candidates, unless for some odd reason we would choose not to adopt them, will be on the board. One will just be an alternate and one will be actually on the committee. Okay. All right. All those in favor of Matt Shipley as the member for the Personnel Board, please raise your hand and hold it up there so I can count. All right, so we got David. Are you helping me, Mr. Secretary?
I am.
Okay. All right, so it looks like we have David, Mike, Shelley, and Carolyn. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. All those in favor, thank you. All those in favor of Mark, how do you say his last name?
Laporte.
Laporte.
Laporte. Oh, Piort. Okay. Laporte, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay. All right. So that's all right. So Mark Shipley is has 4 to 3. So he is the member of the Personnel Board. So we'll now vote for the alternate. Can I have nominations? Well, it would be Mark.
Yeah, it would be Mark.
All right, so all those in favor of appointing Mark as the alternate to the Personnel Board with his term to expire December 31st, 2023, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. It was just one person, so we just did the ayes. All right. All right, thank you. So let me give a little history with number C so that everybody understand what's happening there for clarity's sake. We took applications for the Finance Development and Promotional Committee, which is the Heritage Center, and we did not fill all the positions. There were still 1 or 2 positions that were available. So in looking through all the great candidates that applied for a lot of the other boards, not everyone got a position. So there were some people on the board that showed some interest in, Joe showed an interest in the finance development. So he was the only person who showed that interest. So we sent his video, his interview around to everyone in council. So if you're wondering what happened, you already did this. I'm just explaining this for the public. Council understands this is what we did. So he showed an interest. No one else showed an interest. We looked at the video and is there a motion to appoint Joe?
Madam President,
David?
I move to appoint Joseph Wall as a member of the Financial Development and Promotional Committee, AKA Heritage Center, with a term to expire December 31st, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any comments, questions? I appreciate his flexibility in and using his talents in maybe not the area he particularly started with, but we appreciate that flexibility. And based on this interview, I think he's going to do great here. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, appointment granted. All right. Council met in executive session to discuss special labor council. Do we have a nomination for that? Carolyn.
Sorry, I
wanna
didn't
make-
hear that.
Angela, would you like to make the motion?
Sure. Madam President, I move to appoint Campbell Durant as special labor counsel.
Second.
Second.
Okay, I think Shelley got in there on that. Are there any questions? We had some very qualified firms that applied, and we just had to settle on one. And we think that this is going to be a good working relationship with the town, meeting the town needs. So, all right, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, the appointment is made. E. Discuss litter complaints. We had two citizens make some comments in the public comment about the litter that we have in our town. And I've gotten complaints about this myself. I have eyes. I see the litter that we have, you know, in our town. And one of the goals when I first proposed the EAC a few years ago was to have this roadside cleanup. And the EAC has done great with that. And Lynn pulled all those numbers out and gave us, you know, all the trash that has been picked up, the great work that's been done by the community and the EAC. So I'm very proud of some of the things that we've been doing. But having said that, we have a ways to go. So I wanted to put this on agenda, and I wanted to kind of update the community on what we've been doing so far and see if council has some ideas on maybe where to go from there, and what, if any, additional action that we can take. So I guess I can open this up to, I think Lynn already mentioned about the meeting that was earlier this week, and Lynn has arranged meetings with Representative Turzai before he resigned, and now with our new representative-elect with some of these problems. So I'm opening up to council to see. I have some ideas, but I want to see what you have. Angela.
Just a couple of things I wanted to get the council caught up on. As you've probably seen in the EAC notes, we have developed a subcommittee of the EAC specifically to tackle litter, come up with ideas, and to just kind of run the roadside cleanup days twice a year. That subcommittee was the one who recently met with State Representative Mercuri, and we'll meet again in January with him and Senator Williams. The hope there is to get some support for actions from the state level that we hope can address some things that we can't address on the town level. But there are things that we can do on the town level too. And two in particular I wanted to mention to you today were, I've sent an email to the president of the COG to see if we could arrange the COG to support a North Hills wide cleanup day in either the spring or the fall next year. I think that what would, it wouldn't change anything specifically for McCandless. We'd still be cleaning up the same areas, but I think that what it opens up the possibility for is to, the more people we have involved in this, the more we can get the word out. We can reach out to all of our collective representatives, and, you know, if they can spread the word on their social media, maybe our county representatives can spread the word, maybe we get some more volunteers and be able to make a bigger impact those days. So I'll let you know if I can get that on the agenda for January. The other thing that I'd like to start looking into, and Bob and I kind of discussed this earlier, but we wanted to wait until we got through the budget, the end of the year here. PennDOT has a program called a litter enforcement corridor, and that would allow us to designate some section of road or sections of road in McCandless that are litter enforcement corridors, where the fines would be steeper. We'd be able to put up some signage that, you know, warns people about littering. So that's something we're going to start discussing in January to determine if we think it would be effective and where specifically we would want that to take place. So there are a couple of things that have come out of that our unfortunately named litter subcommittee.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other comments or ideas about some things that we could do?
I just want to bring up our speakers this evening brought up the idea that, you know, local businesses, it seems, I don't know if there's a way the accountability factor could come in. I know participating in litter cleanups, it is often in kind of the forgotten, undeveloped area that belongs to business and some of our major institution properties that has a lot of litter. But is there a way the town can gently nudge or forcefully nudge that we get a little more involvement from those groups?
Bob, how many litter citations did we issue? Have we issued
In the
last year?
last 2 years, we've sent notices out of the 800 or so total violations that Jeff Shaneman has dealt with. Over 200 of them have been regarding litter. So I mean, we've about 26% of the actions that Jeff has taken involve litter at this point, which is, I think, fairly significant for, you know, his time. So we certainly can always work towards trying to develop a cooperative program as opposed to, you know, put the carrot out there instead of the stick, so to speak. But you know, we are, for one person doing that, I think we're doing well in that regard, and we'll figure out ways to enhance and support what Jeff is already doing.
I will tell you that Lynn Atman actually calls the businesses and tells them that you need to take some pride in your business in this town and clean up the trash. And she has done that on many occasions. David?
Do we have a good sense of, you know, either where the problem areas are or what the source is, you know, be it big institutional properties or, you know, alongside the highway or private residences? Do we have any good sense on kind of those, not necessarily breakdowns, but just a sense of kind of the general problem areas, I guess?
We've decided where to clean up in the past by literally members of the EAC looking around and seeing where things are horrible. The Cloverleaf at Ingomar and McKnight, the EAC actually adopted that. That's an adopted road for cleanup that we took, because that area is bad all the time. You cannot believe how much trash is collected there. So we have the unofficial, by what the EAC members have looked around and seen, and kind of, and then kind of keep a tally of it. So when it's time to clean up, we say, hey, these areas look really bad. We didn't do them last time. You know, we should do them this time. But that's the only official that, you know, that I'm aware of.
Madam President, I just want to say that Councilwoman Sponholz had a good idea. It would be using McCandless and me to sort of map out where residents feel that the problem areas are. But I can tell you from experience from the EAC, from the 3 or 4 cleanups I've been involved in, it's routinely the same 9 or 10 areas over and over again that are problem spots. And that's primarily McKnight Road, Cumberland Road, Babcock Boulevard, the Cloverleaf certainly. And trying to think, the triangle down where Babcock and McKnight cross almost to Ross Township. That place gets pretty rough as well.
So in my mind, the efforts to clean up litter are important. And I've talked to Bob about, is it possible that when Public Works has some downtime, if they have downtime, I don't know what the workload is like, would it be possible for them to, swing by some of these areas? It certainly is something you can do during COVID, because you can certainly social distance and do that. Maybe there are other projects you can't do, but it's certainly something we could do, now. But, I was trying to think of some ways, and I fought this fight in Peters, some ways to prevent the litter. Where is this coming from? Where are our sources? And some of the problems that, one is not the problem here, was the recycling didn't have a lid on it. So that stuff was blowing everywhere. But if we could look, I think a lot of it is coming from unsecured loads in the back of like trucks. I know people who throw trash in the back of their trucks and it just blows out onto the road. Mysteriously, it disappears. We had asked the officers in Peters that if they stop someone for a routine violation and they walk past their bed and there's unsecured trash in the back, papers, whatever, that to cite them on that, to say, this is a litter problem, to make that, not that be the primary reason that they stop them, but to say, you're not allowed to do this. Or at least if they didn't cite them, and they never did, they never fined anyone for it, but they would fuss at them about it. They would say, you're not allowed to do this. You need to get that stuff cleaned out of the back of your truck. So, that's one thing we did. And, maybe word gets out about that the police are going to start maybe fining with that, because it is against the law. That was one thing that we did. We also made little signs that the fast food places put up in their windows that were really cute, that said something about, make sure that after you enjoy your meal today, that you put your, cups or trash in the, in the trash, or recycle or throw them away. I don't know if it was effective or not, but it was something that we tried to do, because the fast food places are a big issue. We could also put out some reminders that people are responsible for the front of their own property, even if their house sits way back, right? Or their property drops down in front of McKnight. That's still, their property, that, they are responsible for that. So maybe we could do some education with that. So those were a couple of the ideas that I had. Carolyn?
I like the idea of, I know you're asking about if Public Works had downtime to pick up trash, but what about if just they're out and about and they drive by and they see a bed frame or a chair tossed out? They have these great big trucks. Like, why can't we just ask them to pull over and pick it up? I'm not saying like the little cigarette butts or something. Like, if they see something pretty big, they have trucks, why can't they just pull over, quickly pick it up, throw in the truck and go? Takes 2 seconds.
I think that's directed for you, Bob.
And that's something that we can certainly consider, as long as we can do it safely.
Yeah.
That would be the key for just stopping and picking it up. But we could, if we can't do it safely at that point in time, we could certainly make the note of the location and then come back and address that.
David?
I think I saw it somewhere that, some of the some of the source of problems may be just whatever, and we don't always know what it is, but whatever crews are working at the side of the road, or, sometimes they leave behind litter. I don't know, is there an easy way to kind of track that? Who's working where, when? And I just don't know. I mean, I don't know if, however our current information handling works, if there's a way to follow up, essentially. If there's a work site or something, or road, work being done on the side of the road, whether it's, actual road work or some other entity or a private entity. I don't know if we have a way of tracking to kind of find out what the source is to follow up, say, hey, make sure you clean up after yourself.
We did that. And when we met with PennDOT before with Representative Turzai, and most of the people working on the roads are apparently independent contractors, and they're supposed to clean up. And we had even talked about them maybe even taking a video of the site when they're done and they're leaving the site and shooting it to the town, because they say they're not leaving any trash, but we go there and there's trash. And they say, well, that's not our trash. So we even threw that idea around. Nothing ever came of that, but that would be something that that they could do. If anybody went downtown, where McKnight merges on to 279, where they worked, where all those bridges are, they had tarps and trash blowing there for months and months and months. And that was all construction stuff, and they were blow all over the road. There was paper, it was terrible. It was terrible. That was construction stuff. So I didn't feel like we were very successful. And Angela, certainly you were at that meeting, chime in here, but I didn't feel like we were very successful in getting support from them for a commitment to, oh, we'll do better, we'll check into it, but I didn't see any results.
I agree. I have nothing to add to that.
I have another question. Could we possibly, because I was actually on the EAC when we created the whole cleanup day. And the reason why I know in past why council wasn't able to attend was because we were at Seven Springs at a conference. Is there any way that could move that up to like the end of September? So it's not overlapping when we have the conference. So if anyone wants to be able to attend from council, it's not like, we have the chance to be there.
I will make a note of that, Carolyn. You probably did it then too. It's like, there's this school event, there's this other event. So I will add the Seven Springs thing to the event list that we'll try to schedule around.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
No, good point. I would love to see, council be able to participate.
I agree. Yeah.
So.
Kim, I just wanted to jump in real quick with a couple suggestions, particularly for, in my experience, just in general, you see litter tend to congregate either in areas that are sort of the pass-through thoroughfares, which definitely, we've been hearing a lot of tonight. Unfortunately, because, a lot of people that are driving through, this may not be their community, so they're not as invested in keeping it clean. But also the shopping center type areas are what, in many communities, I've heard those tend to be litter hotspots. So I would just suggest that if anyone sees a particularly bad issue, and I'll review this with Jeff as well when we get together in the office next. But if anyone sees a particularly bad issue at any of our sort of major commercial developments, we may have active contacts with the developers or property owners that. If you just pass that along to me, I can work to give them a heads up. I mean, we certainly do send code enforcement notices to any sort of the repeat offenders, but if there's a potential for buy-in from any of our larger commercial developers, to maybe take a look at where the trash cans are placed, where any recycling, facility availability is in those developments, that's not necessarily something I could compel through the code, but, people are usually willing to be good partners when we reach out. So, feel free to let me know if that's any particular concern in some of our commercial areas that we see.
I think kind of tagging on what RJ has said, I know in my experience in planning events, people will typically use a trash can if it's available to them. But what I saw and I see in the town is the corridors leading up to bus stops. And I don't know if there are cans at bus stops. I think if I was carrying my shopping from Trader Joe's and I stopped for some lunch and everything like that, I wouldn't want to carry my lunch trash on the bus with everything else I'm carrying. So maybe having cans at bus stops may be one small step to get rid of a little bit of this too. I'm not sure if we can coordinate with Pat Bus, Port Authority, to make sure those are there and filled.
Madam President, we looked into that because that is a place where trash tends to accumulate. And Port Authority says that's not their property. For instance, if it's one of the shelters, that would be their responsibility. But we have a lot of bus stops that are just a post in the ground that says the bus numbers. And those are on privately owned property, which is typically commercial property. So that would be back to let Jeff Shaneman know, and he can enforce the pickup there.
Carolyn?
I know in the past when I was on the EAC, another thing that we were working on, John and I were working on, was trying to enforce the recycling, because I know at McCandless Crossing, no one has recycling cans out. And like the examples always in front of Home Goods or Dick's, the trash cans were always overflowing. I'd always take a picture, send it to them. And John and I would we went around checking dumpsters, trying to see if they're using them. But the whole point is, I do feel like with new development, we need to make sure that when they are looking at planning, they need to put some trash, like trash and recycling out in front of these buildings, not just trash, but recycling. Because when you look at it, it's always glass bottles and different things that, well, not glass anymore, but like just different things that could be recycled, that cans and stuff that aren't being recycled.
Or any other comments before we move on? Thank you. I think we've got a lot of good ideas here. Maybe some things that we can incorporate. I'd like to add something that got missed on the agenda, and that is we have a short presentation from our junior council member. I think RJ has that.
I do. I have sent him a microphone and camera request, and I'll have the PowerPoint ready to go as soon as he is.
This is Raj Gindi. He's our junior council member.
Yeah, can everyone see me?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry you weren't on the agenda, and I surprised it on you quick.
Yeah, I did. I didn't expect that. I was almost ready to leave.
Oh, I thought it was getting late. Sorry. That's the reason I put you in here, because I was afraid that was going to happen. Sorry.
Oh, so is it sharing? I can't see.
Yeah. Are you ready? I realized that maybe I was a little premature when I put it up the first time.
That's cool. No, it's good. I'm good.
Okay. Just tell me when to flip the slides.
Okay, I'll tell you when to flip the slides. Yeah, that's no problem.
Cool. Okay, we should be good to go. Are you all seeing the PowerPoint?
Yes.
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 So
It's all you, Raj.
Okay, it's all me. I got it. So last meeting, I got a great question from Councilmember Smith, which was, how can we introduce young people into our program? Like, how do we get them interested? And it pretty much just starts with communicating to them and getting them to know about stuff that's happening around the council. So RJ, you can switch to the next slide. So social media is how kids interact this day and age. And no program is bigger than Instagram. It's the biggest social media platform for kids. And Instagram is connecting through pictures. So it's going to be a start, it's going to take time to get it to where we want it to see it. But once it's there, we'll be able to show or represent or kind of show kids kind of what there are like events happening around council, and people can be aware of it. Flip to the next slide. So how it's going to work is a big question is like, how is this whole thing going to work? So I don't know if it's like easy to tell, and but like I kind of put numbered it and arrows. So there's like this big like checkered space you see. So that's where the picture post is going to be. So I'll give you a situation. Let's say we have a recent drive or something here at council. let's like Knit Hope or something. Someone can provide, or I can go and someone can provide me pictures, and I can have a series of pictures, that one picture there, and then I'd put those pictures on the post. And then for number 2, I put the like button. That's like the Facebook like button. But for Instagram, it just means that someone saw it, someone liked it, or someone at least acknowledges that they know that they saw this post. And then number 3 is the comment section, which is where, like, for example, we go back to the example and I put in the whole like town council drive. I put a little comment section, like a very small few sentences talking about what we did, how we did it, or anything detail, so people can know what to look at if they were curious about it. RJ, you can switch to the next slide. So all pictures and posts will obviously be reviewed before being submitted. Anything posted on the town council Instagram will be posted, will be looked at council, reviewed, and everything before being posted. RJ, you can switch. And yeah, thank you. You can actually, if anyone had questions, I wasn't sure if someone could unmute and ask them, or they can just email me straight at rajgindi15@gmail.com. Thank you.
So Raj contacted me about this idea, and which I loved. I don't do Instagram, but everyone else I know who's much younger does do that. So I thought this was a great idea. I want to be clear that he would be partnering with, and Bob, make sure that I have this right, he would be partnering with John Brzezowski. These are not posts that council would be, because he's our media guy. So these aren't things that would end up getting posted a week later because council was reviewing and deliberating over them. Nothing, he wouldn't post anything directly. They would go through kind of they would go to John. John would make sure everything is, fine. And why, John, Bob's got a big smile. And then John would just kind of preview them and then push them through. So there would be, control of it, because it's going to be a town Instagram. The town would have to keep control of it. And Raj is like completely fine with that. But I thought it was a great idea. He's willing to do the work on it. And so I wanted him to pitch it to you all and see if everybody was like, yeah, let's let him start working on this with John and see how it goes. Angela?
Madam President, I think it's a great idea, Raj. Great idea. That's where the younger people are. I say we go to them where they're at. And I follow Pine Township. I'm kind of sad I can't follow McCandless. So I'll be grateful to be able to do that.
Okay. Carolyn.
I was just saying the same thing. That works. I think it's a great idea too. So.
Okay. Can I get one of these from everybody to go forward? Okay. David, did you have something else?
I was just going to say, 1, great job on recognizing how great my question was. 2, I love the idea. And I think kind of having it go through John is a good idea. But I think we should leave it in Raj's voice as much as possible.
Agreed.
I think that's such an important part of this, is to have it in the voice. No offense to anybody on council, but we're all old. Raj is not. So
Raj, how old are you?
I'm 16.
I didn't think we could leave it totally in the hands of a 16-year-old. I didn't think you'd go for that.
I completely agree.
So it needs to go through somebody else.
Yeah.
Shelley, did you have a question? Your hand was up.
No, I just wanted to congratulate Raj for bringing up this great idea. I think it's wonderful.
Okay. Raj, that looked like a unanimous thumbs up to me. I've sent you the contact information already for John. Yep. So we look forward when you do your report on hearing how it's going, and how maybe you can do a little quick tutorial with me privately and teach me how to get on there, and I can follow it too. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for waiting so patiently.
Not a big deal.
All
I've
right.
not more, so.
Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. F. This is the public hearing that we did, oh no, that is not what this is at all. This is the, previously we adopted to give that $500 credit to people who live in McCandless, and we have to, by the ordinance, have those names submitted to us by the fire chiefs, and that they've met all this criteria. There's so much education that they have to have, so many meetings they have to attend. It's pretty strenuous. You know, you can't just say, I'm a volunteer firefighter and never show up. So we've got this list of criteria. The police chiefs are, the fire chiefs are aware of what that criteria is, and they give us the names of those people, and that's how they get their credit. So that, I didn't want this to be confused with what the public hearing was earlier, because these are two separate things. Okay, all right. So having said that, are there any questions about this? You all got those names in your pack of the people who met the criteria. Okay, then is there a motion?
I move to adopt Resolution 21 of 2020, approving the eligibility of certified members of the volunteer fire companies serving the town to receive an earned income tax credit not to exceed $500 for the 2021 tax year.
Second.
Okay. I'll ask again for questions. Okay. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. Last but not least, again, thank you for your patience. If we could introduce Representative elect Rob McCurry, who is with us and was interested in saying hello, kind of introducing himself to us, and was interested after meeting with the EAC subcommittee, just hearing about what we were going to talk about tonight. So to his credit, thank you. We welcome you, and it looks like you can speak. If you want to come on video too, please feel free. The floor is yours.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm happy to come on video. I think I accepted the invite, but it doesn't look like it's.
Just send you another.
All right, I accepted that one as well. We'll see if that comes on. All right, well, you all can hear me, right?
Yes.
All right, super. Sorry that video is not starting up there, but I just wanted to attend. I met with Councilwoman Woods earlier this week, or actually late last week now, along with Lynn Appman and Dave, and we had a nice conversation, and just mentioned to Angela that it'd be great to come by and say hello to you all on town council. And boy, what a treat. And let me just say thank you to each one of you for the commitment you have. It's a neat meeting for me to be able to jump in and hear the in-progress results of some of the litter control and EAC topics that we had just talked about last week. And it's encouraging for me as I'm just starting out in my new role as District 28 representative to hear such tangible progress being communicated directly back to the town council just days after we recently met. There's a lot to be done in this district and across the Commonwealth. And as I look forward to taking the oath of office on January 5th in Harrisburg, I will be thinking about each one of us back here in district and making sure that as I set priorities, that I'm listening to each one of the towns, boroughs, and townships in district. It is a very unique time, and we've got a lot of challenges ahead. We've got a pandemic that we're going to need to continue to wade through. We've got an approved now vaccine, which is a really, really good thing, that we're going to have to work directly with the federal government to distribute, to make sure that we lead from the front by encouraging folks to get in line and take the vaccine according to their priority if they're comfortable. And we're also going to have to care for those who continue to be at risk and make sure that we're continuing to work through the safety guidelines and with businesses that are going through tough times as well. So there is a lot to do. But again, I am proud to have been able to step in today and listen in on your meeting, at least for a portion of it, and hear how high functioning a group like you all are in terms of just administering the business of the town of McCandless. So kudos to you all, and I look forward to working together hand in glove with you. We've got a new headquarters district office that we just opened up on December 1st. And we've been doing some interviews and hiring for staff. And we've got one staff on board. Her name is Kim Kaufman. Another staff who's starting this Wednesday. Her name is Lisa Urich. And they are local people who are committed to the area and are looking forward to serving constituents. With that, I will take any questions from anybody. We are located, this district office is in Wexford, right across from the Whole Foods, and it's at 5500 Brooktree Road. And we'd love to see anybody who needs to be serviced by the office. You're welcome to stop by anytime. So, Madam President, do you have any questions, or does anybody on council have questions for me?
I don't, and unless anyone else does. We appreciate you taking the time and sitting through our meetings. Sometimes they're a little bit long, so we do appreciate your patience. And does anyone have any questions? If not, please know that you're welcome to attend any meetings. We're glad to have you.
Well, fantastic. Thank you very much. And again, I look forward to working with each of you. And if you need anything, I'm just a phone call away.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Do we have any other new business?
No.
So I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn, but I think council has a little bit more business that we're going to discuss an executive session on our salary review. So just to make that announcement that we will be having a short executive session after we adjourn from this meeting. So can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Do we stay